So, I just beat Trails Beyond the Horizon not long ago, and man, I'm just gonna put it out there that I already knew that this game was gonna end on a cliffhanger of some sort. Though when I got to the end for myself, at first I was like, huh, okay, I expected this to be more brutal. But as the hours went on and the more I thought about some plot points and the implications of the events we've seen and how they could factor into what could happen in the sequel, I slowly and figuratively had my eyes blast open. I was looking like the goddamn chef from Ratatouille, slowly having realization dawn on me. I was looking like this goofy ass thing over here. Goddamn. Trails Beyond the Horizon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, obviously, this video will be very, very spoiler heavy, so if you haven't played the game, it might be best to turn back because it's really hard to talk about this game and leave satisfied without bringing some of its juicy details. Though I'll say this, I will begin with some gameplay aspects and not be super spoiler heavy, and once we get to the heavy stuff, I will put up another warning. Starting off with the premise of the game, there's the rocket launch being this historic event for Zemuria and a monumental achievement in the technological advances it has seen. Technology just seems to rapidly advance, and before you know it, now they have something that was unimaginable a year or two ago in universe. The game's idea of having a route system with Van, Reen, and Kevin is something that had me pretty excited because, first of all, seeing beloved characters return is always so nice, and second of all, it does add to the idea that we may have a pretty major event in this game, and oh boy, did we have one. Going back to the characters though, I remember being absolutely ecstatic that they finally took Kevin out of the basement, seeing as his last actual appearance was in the Crossbill arc, or maybe even Sky 3rd since he wasn't playable in Crossbill. And yes, I know Reverie had his dedicated Merkaba and not him, which is hilarious, but you know what I mean here. We haven't seen this dude in what felt like forever, and being one of my top favorite characters in the whole wide franchise, my excitement for this game went above the ceiling just for that. Now I'm glad to say that none of the routes really disappointed, not Van's, not Reen's, and certainly not Kevin's. The game did have somewhat of a slow start, but I mean, isn't that standard fare for the average Trails game? Part of the reason I fell in love with this series is because yes, while the destination can be absolutely amazing, the journey to it can also be wonderful and adds to all the payoffs we eventually see. And I bet that because Horizon was a bit slow at first, things will definitely ramp up in the sequel. And honestly, as Trails fans, that should go without saying, look at Sky FC to SC or Cold Steel 3 to 4 as examples. The added gameplay elements in this game are quite welcome. I did enjoy the ZOC slow-mo feature as well as the awakening system. The awakening system especially is really wonderful. Being able to use the Dominion Stigmas or Van's Grendel on the field feels amazing. The shard command system also adds another layer very similar to the later Cold Steel games that just gives you even more buffs on top of your buffs, and it can get really crazy with the amount of damage you can do. Honestly, we're at a point in the franchise where it would feel wrong not to be playing as ultra badasses after everything we've been through up until now. So I don't even mind how ridiculously powerful you can get. One thing I would like to say is that while I really like the Ormond system in Calvard and by extension with Horizon, I want to see them do something more with it. Like for example, the unique quartz, as in the ones that aren't numbered, can only have up to 2 elemental values, and I want to see them implement quartz that can have 3 or more elements because I feel like it's about time. Maybe to balance things out, if you have 3 elements in one quartz, like the maximum value per element should be like 3. Also, bringing back percentage-based quartz rather than concrete numbers would be nice, because with how you can get a lot of droplets in this game, especially in the late game, plus 24 attack from attack 3 really doesn't seem like that big of a boost. Another thing that I want them to improve is the accessories. I like the variety we have, but a vast majority of them are just the pendulum accessories and their upgrades. I want to see more stuff like maybe percentage-based increases for your stats. That would add some more variety. Gonna give a shout out to all the complete immunity accessories because goddamn they're so comfortable to have. Oh, and I'm probably tweaking, but hypothetically, would it be too much if they added a 3rd accessory slot? Well, anyway, one feature that I felt had much less of an impact in this game compared to Daybreak 1 and 2 is the weapon gears, or sub-weapon, or whatever you want to call it. The effects they have can be okay, and there are a couple of notable effects like plus 20% crit, but overall I feel like they're kinda just there. Don't get me wrong, I like that they're in and I'd rather have them than not, but I feel like maybe they could do something more with them as well. I forgot to mention this, but all of the animation renewals are very nice. Some of them have way more kick to them and it's just wonderful to see. I want to give a special shout out to Zillion Impact because bro was just continuing to channel his inner Hokuto no Ken as if Regal Beatdown didn't drive that home already. Moving on to the Garten, and man oh man, let me just say that I love the Garten system in general. Even in Daybreak Daybreak 2. Just the idea of it is amazing to me. Being able to just make the most of the game's combat and build making. I mean, Sky Third is like top 3 Trails games for me, and I also really enjoyed Reverie's Corridor, so of course the Garden was also gonna speak to me. It is kinda neat how they tried to tie the Garden into the story with this game, more than with Daybreak 2, and I also really like all the cute little interfaces and icons and UI, and I don't know man, it's all just so adorable. And even though it's nothing new, I really just want to mention how much I love the achievement system in the recent Trails games. Like being rewarded in-game for achieving certain things, and being able to keep track of them so neatly. It's very satisfying and you get something tangible for going out of your way to do something. Now, for the story. Be warned again, everything that I said up until now did have some minor spoilers, but this is where it's gonna get nuclear. So if you don't want to ruin the experience for yourself, turn back now, and maybe leave a like before you go. But anyway, I'm gonna be real. This might sound pessimistic, even though I've generally been enjoying the Calvard arc. Even Daybreak 2 to some extent, believe it or not. But up until like the last 20-ish hours of Horizon, I felt like maybe once they were done with Cold Steel, what came after that wasn't really planned as thoroughly as everything prior. You know, writers change all the time, other projects or deadlines may get in the way, so on and so forth. But those final 20 hours changed all of my perception about that. The more I thought about what I saw in those last 20 hours, the harder it became to believe that this wasn't planned in advance. The absolute monumental reveal of the Septarian of Time was executed so beautifully. The build-up leading up to it had so much weight to it. Now, the fact that this Septarian is a gigantic evil-ass cube is pretty funny, but oh man, they nailed the feeling of a cosmic horror and the impending apocalypse. The absolute look of fear on the faces of people like Giscard and Esmeralda when they realized what's really going on. Man, saying this was all a chef's kiss would be the understatement of the century.
Land sakes alive. You gotta be kidding.
Young? What's going on?
The idea that the Earth is floating in what may be a fake space or being locked away from it is bone-chilling. Emilia's ascension to space, an attempt at piercing the Septarian leading into actually playing as her, was just so freaking peak. This woman went to outer space attempting to pierce a sword through this unimaginable otherworldly structure really drove home the scale of what she was doing. And seeing her do her job made me think back to that one Connection event where you see her with absolute terror in her eyes, and man, it just made everything hit so much harder. This poor woman. She manages to damage the cube, and she and everyone else in Calvard thinks it's over, and then they drop the bomb that not only was the cube still functional, but it summoned Zoa Gilstein, of all things, as a defense mechanism. And it absolutely destroys Emilia, sending her back to Earth. And my god, it doesn't even end there. When she lands near Kevin and friends, another revelation blows your mind with the reveal that the statue Kevin and Thomas excavated all those years ago was Emilia herself, possibly from another cycle. What the absolute bro. And it doesn't even end there, of course not. There's like 20 more reveals because it's Trails Beyond the Horizon. When the plan fails, Kincaid takes matters into his own hands and reveals that he also possesses a Grendel. What the absolute
I am the beast that brings forth the White Dawn. Renee, you...
But how?
This had the same energy as that one reveal from Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse where you find out the truth about the fake Flynn. So now, basically everyone is against Kincaid, and you even end up having freaking Qasim on your side for this final battle. And let me just be clear in saying that starting out with Daybreak 1, I could not take Qasim seriously. But at least the whole strongest Jaeger bit was pretty funny every time he charged his laser. Daybreak 2 rose his stocks for me, and this game made them freaking skyrocket. Between the first time you actually play as him in the Garden and now here in the finale where the stakes are sky high, like just the culmination of things like this that make the finale of this game so goddamn good.
Suffer the wrath of my fulminous flames! Face your doom! Sake of Suleiman!
There was so little time to figure things out that everyone was basically just having this conflict of interest. Like, it's hard to say that Kincaid is evil even after that explosive ending, but he just had a different idea of how to approach the situation. And to my understanding, Agnes and Kincaid, along with Hamilton, wanted to do a partial reset instead of a full reset back to the start of time, which is what the Septarian was gonna do. Now, believe it or not, the most shocking part to me, at first at least, wasn't the reset or Agnes becoming another being or the Septarian of time or Emilia potentially dying or any of that. It was the fact that this motherfucker, Kincaid, played us like a damn fiddle. Like, I have not even remotely seen that coming. This bastard, like 5 minutes before the big reveal, drops a throwaway line saying something like, "Oh, how much do you really think you know about me?" And Falcom took that to an extreme level 5 minutes later. Goodness gracious, what did we know about him? Looking at the Grendel being blonde, I thought this was most definitely gonna be Agnes initially, and I'm so glad that they got me with the one too. And the most amusingly tantalizing part about all of this is that, again, what he did wasn't seemingly evil. He just dropped the reveal of the century and wanted to do his way of handling the Septarian. When he caught Shizuna and Kazum off guard after the fight, I initially wasn't sure if he was going to seriously harm them. And well, he didn't. It would have been another story entirely if he caused serious injuries without any regard for their lives. Kincaid and Van already had this subtle kind of rivalry during this game, since the rocket launch seemingly had ulterior motives and the CID wasn't doing much to resolve problems around the country, and needless to say, this whole ending took things from 0 to 100 in that regard. Wait, hold on, pause that recording. This Kincaid footage that you just saw was a late addition to the editing process, and while recording that same scene, I came across, this.
I am the beast that brings forth the white dawn.
God damn, man, this game. Anyway, back to the script. It only leaves you thinking, what the hell is Kincaid's stake in all this? Why is he doing what he's doing? And obviously the questions don't stop at him. Hamilton is also a big person of interest in all this. Just what the hell do they know that we don't? With this reveal, Kincaid is basically a whole new person that we know nothing about. So anyway, Kincaid takes the Genesis to Hamilton and Agnes, and they have Agnes turn into an angelic-like being. And as they're about to do the partial reset, we don't even get to know if that partial reset was successful. We don't know what kind of freaking consequences any of this will have. Are we gonna go back to the start of Daybreak 1 in some capacity? Oh god, imagine if Horizon 2 had you play a portion of Daybreak 1 as a big chunk. Falcom, please don't do that. Maybe show us a small portion of something like that, but don't actually have us replay Daybreak 1 again, please. Another question that comes to mind, why was Yume tweaked right before the very end? The one time we saw her with eyes like those, if I remember right, was when Mare was controlling her in Daybreak 1. Was Mare also controlling her here, or is this something else? Is she gonna turn out to be some kind of otherworldly being somehow? If so, what does that mean for Paulette or Maxim? Are they somehow linked to this otherworldly power? Does Paulette come from a lineage of supernatural beings? The white vestiges with Kevin's group, one of them almost reveals herself, and I think it's Sheena Dirk from what I heard. So does this mean the two with her are Aramis and Atkinson maybe? What are the implications of this? How did Hamilton even get them to show up? This ending also left me with questions that aren't strictly shown in the ending itself, like, did the DG cult know about the endless cycle? Is this possibly why they resent Adios? Were all their experiments an attempt to try and break this cycle? So many goddamn questions and very little answers. And I really want to get to theorizing, but I might save that for another video. Just know that they definitely got my attention with that ending, and my ass is seated for Horizon 2 whenever that gets revealed. My viewers over in the Discord revealed some crazy foreshadowing details that just makes me appreciate this game more, like how Kincaid's sneaky ass actually had the Alter Dawn buff when you fight him right before the Grendel reveal. God damn, man, the attention to detail never fails to amaze me with this franchise. And it doesn't help that with Daybreak in particular, you sometimes have a lot going on in the screen and it's easy to miss stuff like the buff or debuff icons. This completely went over my head, and I would not have noticed if not for my viewers who told me after I beat the game. Was making the UI complicated an intentional part of Kondo's masterful plan? I have no idea, but it worked here. Overall, I have to give this game at the bare minimum a 9 out of 10. And in hindsight, I'm even considering bumping that into a 9.5, but I'll stick with a 9 for now. Lots of goodness, beloved characters coming back, mind-blowing twists. This game really is incredible. This will be it for the video, so I just want to say thank you, dear viewers, for tuning in and watching. If you have anything you want to bring up, like potential theories, please by all means do so. But I've heard there's data mined, like spoilers for the next game, so please don't mention those. And again, I'm actually considering doing a follow-up video where I talk about things that I didn't bring up here, focusing mainly on theories and whatnot. But we'll see how that goes. You guys take care now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.